Hello my fellow book lovers and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna do something a little bit fun, a little bit different. I hate myself. I'm actually going to be doing a book recommendations video. Plot twist, okay? I asked ChatGPT to give me a few prompts so I can give you guys book recommendations, okay? I wanted to do something a little bit fun, a little bit different, and then another plot twist, what we're doing, we're gonna be spinning the wheel from the prompts, okay? I wanted to do something fun and make it like surprising. I thought a TBR jar would be fun, but you know what? I love spinning a wheel, okay? Who doesn't love spinning a wheel? I decided we'll spin the wheel for our little TBR prompt, not TBR prompt, our book recommendation prompt, and I will give you a book obviously that I have read or this category. So I have over 20 prompts and I'm gonna choose about like 7 of them I think and give you a book recommendation for them, okay? So let's spin our little wheel. Let's spin, see what it says. What is our first little prompt? Fave small town. Okay, that's a fun one. Oh, okay. Let me think. Fave small town. One that like immediately came to mind. The One in Rome series trilogy, Rome, Kentucky. That is my favorite small town. I read One in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. That town gives Gilmore Girls, okay? Gives Stars Hollow, and it's amazing in Rome, Kentucky, okay? That town is so nosy in everybody's business. Honestly, it's the best. Love it so much. Town itself, kind of like a character in a way, but like a silly, goofy, fun character, if you know what I mean. Definitely would recommend the One in Rome series if you're looking for like a cute little romantic small town read. Both of those books are great. The third book in the series just came out. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard amazing things, so I'm super excited to read that one. Let's see. Next prompt. Fave small town. We're not doing this again. Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna hide that one. We're gonna spin again. Okay, we're gonna spin again. Ooh, okay. A series you can't stop thinking about. Ooh, okay. Well, the obvious one for me is the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. Since that's super obvious, I'm gonna try and give you a different one, okay? Because I think you deserve better. You deserve to have one that's not so obvious, if you know what I mean. I know that there's like been some that I've read recently that I think would be great. Series I can't stop thinking about. So funny because if I could think about it, I would be able to give you an answer. I'm gonna go with a book series that I recently just read, and that is the Beartown trilogy. I have only read the first 2 books in the series as of right now, and I absolutely loved them. If you guys don't know, the Beartown series, it is about a town called Beartown, but it's basically following a plethora of characters throughout this entire town and how they're relying on their junior hockey team to kind of like make a name for the town. And let me tell you, that book comes out swinging, okay? It is so good. It makes you really sit down and think. I was so speechless. I literally could not think about anything other than like that series, and like the fact that I was so speechless, I had like almost no thoughts in my brain. I literally couldn't even tell you or describe to you about how that book made me feel. Kind of insane. Like I've never had that feeling before, so to have it just like on this like one-off series by Frederick Bachman, crazy. I highly recommend that series. That is so far a 5-star series for me. The first book was a 5 stars. The second book I rated a 4 stars, but I think that the third book, which I again haven't read yet, is going to tear me limb from limb, because supposedly I've heard that that's what it has done to other people. So we're going to spin again. Slow burns that could kill. Oof. Okay. First one that immediately came to my mind, which was a kind of series I already recommended, and that is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is the second book in that One in Rome series, so I do recommend that you read them in order for the best reading experience, but you don't have to. They are all interconnected standalones. The second book follows Annie and Will. Will is the bodyguard of a pop star, and Annie is the sister of the brother in the main book. Basically, you're following them through this small town. Annie is this very like innocent little girl, but she has this big old crush on Will. And Will is like, she is not my type of woman and has the biggest, fattest crush on her, okay? But Will is like dead set on not dating. Like he's like, I don't want to date, like no. So instead they just kind of become like unlikely friends, and they both come to this agreement of like, he's gonna help her. What she wants most is to have a husband and a family. So he's like, I'll help you practice for dating because she is so bad at dating, which you get in the first chapter, all right? She's not really bad at dating. It's just like a cute little funny thing. This one thing you need to know about Sarah Adams is that Sarah Adams literally is so silly, goofy, and quirky, okay? You have to go into these books knowing how cheesy they are. I feel like a lot of people don't like them because of how cheesy, but if you know that they're cheesy before you go in, that's the thing I love about them, is the fact that they are so cheesy and so bingeable and readable, and like, yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It's such a fun time. I highly recommend Practice Makes Perfect. A slow burn that could kill, because let me tell you, the slow burn that could kill. All right, let's do another one. A book that would make a perfect TV/movie. Okay, I literally, every book that I read, I'm like, oh, I can see this in my head as a TV or a movie. Literally every single one of them. But one that I do think that would be super entertaining and one that I would actually love to see is Billy Summers by Stephen King. And I actually think this one is going into production or a pre-production soon to become a TV series or a movie. Basically though, this book takes you on a wild ride. If you've never read a Stephen King book before, I definitely would recommend maybe starting with this one. I am not a horror fan at all, but this is definitely not in the horror genre in the slightest. This is definitely a literary fiction. This is a very easy book to get into if you kind of want to see what his writing is like without reading a horror. Basically, you're following Billy Summers. Billy Summers is a professional hitman, but the twist is that he only kills bad people, and then his latest hit that he was set to put out ended up going wrong, and he's trying to figure out what happened and who basically did him dirty. It's very interesting. I literally, the first like part of the book, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna love this, and then before I knew it, I was so hooked. I was like, oh my god. He was like talking about everything that he had done in his past and like everything that he needs to do now and how all of these identities that he has to come up with just to be able to perform one hit is crazy. And I absolutely loved this book. It was so good. I was crying at the end. I guess that's all you need to know about it. Another spin. A book with an unreliable narrator. Okay, this one literally right off the top of my head, I know exactly, and that is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. One of the narrators in this book is so unreliable. It had me hooked. This book, very eerie, kind of disturbing. Check the trigger warnings for this book. Lisa Jewell is an amazing mystery thriller writer. I would definitely say she doesn't really do any big plot twists at the end. It's more of like, she kind of tells you what's happening, and you're more of just like on your toes and on your feet to like see how this entire story plays out. There's no like plot twist or big thing that's like, oh my god, like this big old mystery. Like there's obviously mystery in it, but there's never a like giant plot twist that's like leaves you gasping for air. You know what I mean? It's more of like you're really connected and really wanted to see how these stories play out and like how she got from point A to point B with all these characters. Her storytelling capability is absolutely amazing. Basically, The Family Upstairs, this was a 5-star read for me. I think I read this about 2 or 3 years ago. I can't really remember now, but I read it a while ago and I absolutely loved this book. So basically the book follows multiple points of views, but the first view you get is Libby. Libby was adopted and she finally actually gets a letter in the mail stating who her family was and that she was actually left a house. But the house, when she gets it, definitely not as it seems, considering there's a lot of funky things that are like planted within the house that she's like, what the heck would have been going on here with this family that I am somehow related to? And then slowly you start meeting the other members of the family and you kind of go in a past and present timeline. It kind of like shows you exactly what happened in that house during that time and Libby kind of living through time now and like kind of hearing all this information. It is so good. I highly, highly recommend. One of the narrators in this book, he is so unreliable and it is amazing. It makes the story. It really does, because you feel like you're learning this one thing, but then you get another and you're like, let's do a few more. Ooh, okay, a book recommendation based off your love language. Okay, so I'm gonna do based off of my love language, which is like acts of service. The first one that literally just came to mind, and it's because I literally just finished reading it this morning. Let me tell you, I was bawling my eyes out, so just be prepared for that. And that is The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. Beckett in this book is the true meaning of like acts of service. Okay, he literally does everything and anything he can to prove to Ella how much he or wants her to trust him, and like helps like provide for her and helps like show his love and affection, and like all through like doing like things for Ella to like help make her life better. Ella is a single parent and she is really struggling with so many things going on in her life, and it's such a sad book. And Beckett is actually, or was, in the military, and so when he comes back, or because his best friend sent him to Ella, he is doing everything he can to prove to her and show her that he is there because he wants to be, and that he's going to do anything he can to help and provide for her. I absolutely loved that book. It was amazing. I was bawling my eyes out, okay, like I said this morning. And let me tell you, he does multiple types of acts of service throughout that entire book, okay? And I'm not even talking about spicy stuff. I'm talking about the other things that happen that he does for that family, okay? Let's move on to another book recommendation. Let's see. if you want to cry. Okay, again, The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. That would be a great one if you wanted to cry. Okay, if you really wanted to bawl your eyes out, that is it. Okay, because I have never sobbed harder. I genuinely have never sobbed harder than when I read that book. Another one to give you another recommendation, and this is another 5-star read of mine, and that is If He Had Been With Me. Again, I sobbed like a baby, okay? I loved If He Had Been With Me. I read that one again, I think almost 2 or 3 years ago at this point. It's been so long, and it's still one of my top 5 reads. I absolutely love that book to its core. Basically, the book follows Autumn and Finney, and it follows them throughout the 4 years of them being in high school, of how they were once good friends, and now that they're kind of apart and not really friends anymore, and like just kind of seeing their relationship throughout the year. Also, basically tells you what happens in the beginning of the book if you're not prepared for that emotionally. But basically, you're praying for it not to happen. This is so fun. I love spinning a little wheel. A book I didn't expect to love. A book I didn't expect to love actually is Daisy Jones and the Six. I just recently listened to this audiobook. I've heard really great things about it, but I had read one other book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Her writing style, like at the time I had read that book, was just not for me. Like, I'm not a literary fiction girly. And so I had really been putting off listening or just reading Daisy Jones and the Six because I did not think I was gonna like it because I'm not a literary fiction person. Let me tell you, I was actually so pleasantly surprised with this book. I listened to the audiobook, obviously, like I've been saying, but that audiobook is so good. So if I can recommend any type of audiobook to you, it's definitely Daisy Jones and the Six, because it follows obviously this entire band and their time like creating music together and going on tour, as well as Daisy Jones kind of was like a wild child, wants to be a musician. She kind of, you know, she's got some drug issues, things like that. And it really is just this story about how led to where they are now, but it's basically written in a documentary style. But let me tell you, that's why it makes such a great audiobook, because of the way that it's written. The audiobook has a full cast of characters. Genuinely, like when I was listening to them, I said, wow, okay, I could definitely see these people being who they are. Hearing how they could have been like those people at one point in time, and then like hearing them now go back and tell this story. So good. So good. Okay, I absolutely loved it. I think I loved it mostly for the fact because of told in a documentary style, and I was listening to it, which made it a little bit better. If I was reading it, I don't know if I would have loved it as much. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't know I was actually gonna be like interested in these people. Like I really was kind of like, well, I think I would be okay, because like I'm not really like a huge music person. Like I love music, but like not in that way where like I follow a lot of like bands or like people and stuff like that. I just like love listening to music. So hearing people talk about how like their love for it and like how they were able to get through such difficult times, or like way that things were during this time, and like creating this band and like living this life, and it was just truly remarkable, and I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend that. Let's do maybe two more. I actually don't even know how many I've done so far. Let's just do 2 more, okay? All right, books that tore you to shreds. I actually didn't think that I didn't think I'd get all the ones that would make you sad. Books that tore you to shreds. Okay, another 5-star read of mine is The Way I Used to Be. Emotionally really took it out of me. It is a lot. You have to check the trigger warnings before you read this. This is still a young adult book, but it deals with a lot of heavy topics, okay? So basically, the book follows Eden, and Eden was just sexually assaulted by her brother's best friend, and she's basically really just trying to live with the fact that happened. She hasn't told anybody, and she's just trying to move on with her life and figure out. And the story really showcases is like with people that with stuff like that happens to, like they can go one direction or the other, and she really went in that like really horrible toxic spiral. She really is just talking to you through her life right now, and like being like, I used to be, you know, this one way, and then this happened. So there's a me before the assault, and then there's me after. Yeah, it's like really hard hitting. If you want something that's gonna tear you to shreds like that, absolutely, that is the book for you. All right, last one, and then we're gonna be done. Oh, okay. So a book that actually made me laugh as our last one. This is a good one. We'll end up like on a really good happy note. A book that actually made me laugh. I'm gonna go with Funny Story by Emily Henry, okay? Because this is genuinely a romantic comedy. I read this as a true romantic comedy. Let me tell you, I am not an Emily Henry stan. I am not. And anybody who watches my videos consistently would probably know that. Okay, but let me tell you, I loved Funny Story. This book I genuinely actually thought was funny. Like there was times where Miles had me cackling. I was like, this man, I cannot. With the way he would respond to things, with the way he would say things or do things, like I genuinely was laughing out loud, and I loved every second of it. But basically, Funny Story, if you guys don't know, follows Daphne and Miles. Both of their significant others have just broken up with them for each other. Miles and Daphne end up having to live together because they have nowhere else to go, nowhere else to live with, because their significant others just left them. And then they start up this fake dating ruse to kind of get back at their exes. You know what happens from there. Fake dating always leads to real dating. All right, you guys, that is it. I have never done a video like this before, so I kind of wanted to do like a really cool, quick, fun one for you. I hope you guys that you liked it. I'm really not good at like describing books, or I don't know, I feel like sometimes giving recommendations, I always feel like I fall flat. Like anytime someone asks me for a book, I'm always just like, everything in my brain leaves. Every thought leaves my brain. You know, I'm like SpongeBob searching for his name when they accidentally have thrown it out. You know what I mean? So that's what happens every time that someone asks me to recommend a book to them. I'm sorry if I was not good at this. I'm trying to get better. I really, really am trying to get better at like being good about book recommendations and stuff like that. Even though I know like all my reading vlogs are like basically book recommendations if you're watching them, and I read books that I like and stuff. So, and telling you guys if I liked them or not. That is it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, definitely follow me on all my social medias, as well as subscribing to my channel. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.